Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland and I'm opposite the townhouse on Dean Street, Soho in London. And this is where Meghan and Harry had their first date. So the townhouse is a rather swanky yet casual restaurant in this area. Soho, perhaps oppositely, is the red light district of London.
Yeah.
You think I'm joking? It's not. There's a place just up there called Sunset Strip. The purple building behind me. I could show you more evidence of this a little bit later. Anyway, so it was here in July 2016 that His Royal Highness Prince Harry first had his initial assignation with Miss Meghan Markle, a recent divorcee. So she'd married some guy when she was in her 30s and divorced him within 2 years. What went wrong, we don't know. No allegation of infidelity. I think they said irreconcilable differences. You'd think by your 30s you'd know what you're doing at that stage. Anyway, so she was living in Toronto, acting in Suits, playing a paralegal. I can't remember the character's name. I'd actually never heard of her till she started her relationship with His Royal Highness. Anyway, so they were set up on a blind date. Now, she obviously had seen photos of him, but claimed to know precious little about him. Now, who was this person who played the matchmaker? It's speculated it was Misha Nonu, who's a shirt designer, who seems completely superficial and self-obsessed, just the kind of materialistic egomaniac who would be a good friend of Meghan Markle. Talking about white blouses, say that didn't speak to my aesthetic, or this kind of like gobbledygook. Or was it Miss von Westenholz? I can't remember what she is, a PR or something like that. Anyway, so they sat in there and they hardly ate a morsel. They mainly drank. She had a martini, so we're told he had a beer. If you're reading Finding Freedom. Now, Finding Freedom does seem to be incredibly well sourced, assuming that the authors aren't simply inventing it. And this is just the story that Meghan and Harry would want to tell. It gives a highly sympathetic portrayal of them, and then it launches these blistering attacks on all their foes on the London press corps. Because Meghan, as she later said, before she got engaged to Harry, she said she was warned by some of her British friends. Now, however magnificent Harry is, that you will be savaged by the hounds of the London press pack, and so it's proved in elements. But a lot of it she's brought this on herself. So it was only 22 months after their first tryst here that they were made man and wife at St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, married by the Archbishop of Canterbury, who usually presides over weddings within the House of Windsor. So under a year later, they were blessed with a bonny baby boy, Archie. And that raised some eyebrows because Archie's not a proper name, people were saying. It's got to be Archibald. He can be known as Archie, but should be officially named Archibald. There we go. So they put themselves into all sorts of trouble. That Misha Nonu, she was previously married to Alexander Julks, whom I knew at school. So Julks, he's the founder of Paddle 8, a self-made multi-millionaire. Sometime male model, lives in New York now. I think he's an American citizen, now originally British. So it was a childless marriage, just like Meghan's first marriage produced no progeny. And so she managed to get pregnant within 2 months of getting married, Meghan Markle. Good going, which I'm told is quite difficult at the age of 36. I mean, unless you perhaps had fertility treatment. Possible, yes. Could have just got lucky. But that's one of the reasons why there's this conspiracy theory going around saying, oh, she wasn't pregnant, she's wearing a prosthesis or whatever, that baby's a doll. I don't think anyone in his right mind now doubts the baby is real, even if the baby's adopted. I think it is their baby. I don't think they'd forge birth certificates just because of their regal status. So, anything else about these two? They started dating pretty quick. It's now emerged that Meghan, just beforehand, had changed her Facebook description, saying that she was not a model, that she was a humanitarian and things like that. That she was briefing the press. She was in league with the Toronto paparazzi, wanted to be snapped together with Prince Harry, because suppose the relationship ended, she would still have that on her CV, as it were. That would really make her much more bankable. So it's about marketing yourself. And she gave an extensive interview in Vanity Fair gushing about how she adored him, and a photo shoot with them. Did she get paid a six-figure sum for this interview? I don't know. Maybe she wasn't paid a bean. But even if she wasn't actually paid for it, its value in terms of publicity was really incalculable. Took her from being sort of a B-list actress to somebody who was going to be a household name. Because how many intimate relationships has an average person had? by the time he or she reaches the mid-30s. Several, dozens, and so the majority of those end. And so the likelihood this was going to end, but it didn't. Anyway, so it was. So they met in July 2016. November 2017, they announced their engagement, and obviously they had their hand fasting in May 2018. So that was it. What a whirlwind romance, but it seems to be just a whirlwind now of bad PR and a lot of catcalls from the media and a lot of barbed comments. So she feels she's subject to acerbic attacks, but she's got herself into a mud fight with sections of the media, and you don't come out of that unscathed. So she should not let her honour be stained. Then she's made this moronic decision to sue the Mail on Sunday for alleged breach of privacy, because they published some texts and emails and so on that she sent to her father, because her father gave them to Daily Mail, but not that they'd hacked in. You can't do that, because the News of the World used to do that and people got sent to prison for it. They've been doing it for years, way back to the early 90s, which was the Squidgy Gate tapes, Prince Diana's Goo talk with her paramours, Prince Charles's Goo talk with Camilla Parker Bowles. But back to these two. And so in order to defend her privacy, Meghan Markle has breached her own privacy by revealing even more emails and texts saying that they were selectively quoted and edited. Yeah, newspapers are edited, yes. Misleadingly edited? Well, they're allowed to be misleading. Now, if they damage your reputation in some sort of way, okay, you can take out a libel action, but this is not a libel action. This is about breach of privacy. So we shall see whether this counts as a breach of privacy. If I was a judge, I would say that it's not, but these people know more about law and indeed the facts of the case than I do, so they might decide differently. And then there are 5 of her friends whom she supposedly authorized to speak to newspapers on her behalf. Well, now she's claiming that she had no idea that they were speaking to the press anonymously. She wants to keep the names of these friends, and they're all female, we've discovered, secret, and the judge has initially granted an injunction, so for the moment their identities cannot be revealed, but that might yet be overturned. So, more and more of information might come into the public domain, which was why it was so asinine to launch this action for privacy. And she might even be called to the witness box. Now, that would be a real star turn, but maybe that's just the stage she wants to take. So there it is, the townhouse on Dean Street in Soho. Okay, that's enough from me, so please follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and what else? I give guided tours of London, and I translate from French, Spanish, Italian, German, Russian, and Romanian, and I help people with their theses, their essays, dissertations, so forth, your CV, covering letter, give people elocution lessons and interview practice. I advise people getting into private schools, we say independent schools in the United Kingdom, at universities, stuff like that. So anyway, please check out my British Poetry channel and indeed my English Law channel. Okay, so that is enough from Soho. I shall switch it off in a minute. Okay, goodbye.